Hey, welcome to Culture Shock. So I've had this kind of like earworm, like a brainworm, I suppose, over the last couple of weeks. I heard something a couple of weeks ago which I can't stop thinking about. It was one of the finest articulations of core purpose that I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'll share it with you in a second, but the reason that it's been kind of playing with my brain and I can't seem to get rid of it is I think because I've realized something which I've been missing for years, and perhaps we've all been missing for years as well. See, part of the reason that we battle with communication around culture, with the articulation of core purpose or the articulation of values or any of those sorts of things, I think is perhaps because we're trying to be too prescriptive about it, i.e. we think that one single thing should apply to everybody equally. And perhaps it doesn't, and perhaps we're wrong, and perhaps that's why we're struggling. So here was the core purpose statement. It was by a software organization, a software development organization, and what they said was that the organization is focused on building the people that create great teams that develop brilliant software. It was something along those lines. I loved it because it clearly articulates what the leaders are there to do, i.e. software, the thing that it actually sells to clients, that's a result of great teamwork, which is a result of great people development. And so if they focus on great people development, arguably what comes out the other end is great software. That's core purpose in one, man. That's fantastic. I mean, the other alternative view on that, the one that often makes its way to the top, is that we're a software development house developing great software for clients, which is fantastic. But we're talking about the result, and we're missing what actually happens in between, the stuff that we can actually control. And so, to me, that was like the finest articulation of core purpose that I've heard in a long, long time. It absolutely summed it up. It's smart. And I still think it is. I don't have a problem with it at all as I've been thinking about it. But what has occurred to me is that perhaps there's a slight nuance here that we're missing. Because that's a great core purpose for the leaders of the organization. But it may not necessarily be as applicable a core purpose to the people within the organization. I.e., if my job at the far end of that is to be one of those people on the team who's being developed so that I can develop great software, my actual output is the great software. That's how I'm measured, and that's how I know whether I'm getting this stuff right. I'm not developing people, I'm developing software. I'm the other end of that. And so if we articulate that as the core purpose of the organization, then it doesn't reach all edges in equal amounts, and that's, to me, potentially a problem. I'm not suggesting it's a problem for this organization, by the way, because they seem to be doing rather well. But in general terms, when we come up with these sorts of values or core purpose or mission or vision type statements, I wonder whether we are battling with them mostly, and most of all, because we're being too prescriptive, because we're assuming that if we come up with something that is deeply meaningful to a part of the organization, it should be deeply meaningful to all parts of the organization. And the evidence suggests that it isn't. The evidence suggests, in fact, that that doesn't happen at all. That's not the way in which people perceive it. I think it's possible that we've just been thinking about this all wrong. I think it's possible that your core purpose might actually have multi-parts to it. There might be a core purpose for the leaders of the organization. There might be a core purpose for employees. There might be core purpose statements individual throughout the organization. There might be nuances on the overall core purpose. You see, I still believe the core purpose should fundamentally describe and define the philosophy of the organization. I.e., philosophically, you're either the kind of organization that's outputs driven, or you're the kind of organization that's inputs driven. And your core purpose will probably be a very clear view, give you a very clear view as to what that actually is. And that in itself is going to tell you a great deal about the culture and help you to unravel any kinds of challenges you might have around retention or motivation or any of those sorts of things. But it was said to me once that to think that culture can be defined by putting a pithy statement on the wall is to totally miss the point. And I hope we're not all falling into that trap. I hope we're not all falling into the trap of thinking that just because we've found something that profoundly describes the organization to us as the leaders of the organization, that we are missing the point about what's actually happening down on the ground. It's my thought for the week. It's been my thought for the last 2 weeks, actually. Hopefully it provides some food for thought for you as well. Have a great week.